Today on Investigate TV Plus, it's a skill that could save a life. But few know how to properly administer CPR.
Angelia brought to my attention that some of the procedures I was using were a little outdated.
I'm glad that I learned it.
An in-depth look at the push to bring CPR to classrooms across the country.
And a real-life example of CPR saving lives.
Had John not been there, I wouldn't be standing here today.
That created an unbreakable bond.
For better,
For better,
for worse,
for worse.
in health and in sickness.
Plus, looking for love online.
It really becomes a numbers game more than anything else, which feels weird and artificial almost with dating, but it kind of is.
A new type of dating social media group that comes with a word of caution.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
If a loved one stopped breathing and needed immediate medical attention, would you know what to do? I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. It's a scenario that happens more often than you might think. According to the CDC, more than 350,000 cardiac arrests happen outside the hospital every year in the U.S., and about 9 in 10 of those cases turn deadly. But when CPR is administered right away, experts say lives are saved.
Reporter Heather Graff explains the push to arm more people with that critical skill.
And why some believe starting young with mandatory CPR training in schools is the solution.
Angelia Bryant is a teen of many talents. Playing the piano on some days and basketball on others.
I want to play basketball in college.
But it's this use of her hands that might be the most impressive.
My fingers are interlocked here.
Angelia learned hands-only CPR, or cardiopulmonary resuscitation, during her freshman and sophomore years at Colonial Forge High School in Stafford, Virginia.
I took it serious because I was like, I know it's something I need to learn, but I never thought that I was actually ever gonna use it.
So just how soon did you have to put those skills to use?
The next year. So the next semester, I was like, it happened.
It was September of 2022 when Angelia's grandmother suffered a medical emergency, an apparent seizure at home.
Everybody's just standing there. My dad, he ran over to her and he had his phone in his hand, but he couldn't do anything. He was shaking.
I went to try to pick her up because I was going to try to put her in the car, and she was limp. And I'm like, okay. I was like, Angelia, bring the car closer to the house. She was like, I'm gonna call 911. So she calls 911.
At that point, Keenan Bryant says his mother was unresponsive, and dispatchers instructed them to start performing CPR.
My dad was in the military, but he was in the military 20 years ago. So he had the 20 years ago CPR training. And I was looking at it, and my mind was going back to what I was learning in school, and I was like, that's not what that looked like.
Angelia brought to my attention that some of the procedures I was using were a little outdated, and she said, no, Dad, we do it like this now. And I'm like, okay, tracking, got it.
According to the American Heart Association, CPR can double or triple a person's chance of survival. And when you look at cardiac arrests that happen outside a hospital, AHA data shows more than 73% take place at home, 16% in public settings, and about 10% in nursing homes. Yet bystander CPR is administered in less than half of those cases.
It's a skill that we all should have.
And that's why the Heart Association believes every young person in this country should be taught CPR in high school.
And by having it be part of the curriculum and part of the requirements in a school environment, it really assures that at any point, if any of us suffer sudden cardiac arrest, there'll be somebody in our community, somebody around us that will have had CPR training.
And do you believe it would save lives?
I know that it'll save lives.
Jill Birnbaum is the Heart Association's Senior Vice President for Field Advocacy and says her team is trying to get all 50 states to pass legislation that would make CPR training a graduation requirement for students. The organization, noting Alabama was the first to pass such a law back in 1984, followed by Iowa in 2008, with many others then following suit over the next decade, and Florida among the most recent to do so in 2021. But the AHA says there are 10 states, seen here in white, that still don't require CPR training in schools for all students.
In the states that remain, in some cases there are some legal barriers that just make it more difficult to determine the appropriate role of the state government in mandating something that happens locally.
She says they'll continue pushing to close the gaps and thinks the Access to AEDs Act, recently introduced in Congress, could help. Because while not a mandate, it would provide grant money to establish AED and CPR programs in public schools.
Make sure your arms stay locked. You have to put like a lot of force.
The training already required for high schoolers in Virginia, where Angelia lives.
I'm glad that I learned it.
And she says her family is proof it can make a difference.
It was scary.
Because this is Angelia's grandmother.
But I'm glad they were here.
Fully recovered, thanks to her loved ones' quick thinking.
Especially Angelia, a very smart little girl. Young lady, I should say.
Grandma Charlesy still grateful.
All the schools should do that.
And at Colonial Forge High School,
we do 9th and 10th graders.
Got it.
Every year.
Angelia's CPR instructor is still in awe of her student.
She saved her grandma, and she was able to teach her family how to respond.
What did that mean to you as the CPR instructor?
That it's working. The training is working.
A teen of many talents and life-saving power in her hands.
If it's not a requirement, I don't know. My grandma might not be here.
Even if you live in one of the states where CPR courses are not required in schools, the American Heart Association says parents can still ask school leaders to offer optional training for students. The AHA also has training resources online, including a 60-second video that teaches hands-only CPR.
And put your other hand on top of the first.
Just go to heart.org/nation.
Still ahead on Investigate TV Plus, another example of someone who knows CPR being in the right place at the right time.
Had John not been there, I wouldn't be standing here today.
The unforgettable honor he received for stepping in and saving a stranger's life.
Plus, wondering whether that online connection is built to last, how a new social media group growing across the country can offer a sense of safety for some women.
If someone's being dishonest about something a little more surface level, what else are they being dishonest about?
But comes with a warning about what you post.
There are times when these groups can be used inappropriately to either defame someone or cause unnecessary harm.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
How many times would you swipe to find Mr. Right? According to a 2023 Pew Research survey, 3 in 10 U.S. adults have used an online dating app. Some of the users' top reasons? Meeting people outside their friendship circles and being able to evaluate someone before you meet them. Being able to get to know your date online before meeting them in person can give many people a sense of safety.
A new crop of social media groups is using crowdsourcing to help with that virtual pre-screening, but it's all dedicated to raising red flags.
Reporter Lauren Traeger has an in-depth look at this dating phenomenon and your rights when it comes to posting online.
The pour of a beer and the din of a bar.
I do like drinking beer. No, that's true. I love a brewery.
It's a place Joe from Maplewood is pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I'm pretty laid back, I think. Definitely not shy.
The 29-year-old high school teacher is newly single.
I'm hoping to meet someone to do life with.
But he knows it's far less likely he'll meet someone here nowadays, and matching up through friends or family hasn't worked yet either.
I will say this, my mother is on the hunt like no one else.
Instead, he's often on his phone, swiping left or right on dating sites.
It really becomes a numbers game more than anything else, which feels weird and artificial almost with dating, but it kind of is.
Wondering if the next one might be the one.
You're gonna match with this many people, and then you're gonna talk with this many, and then you're gonna meet up with this many. And so in order to find someone with whom you have a connection, you really have to try that with a lot of people.
Can I show you this Facebook? But he was surprised when we showed him this recently.
The top comment is, he's been posted before with bad reviews. Like it's a Yelp site for men.
A Facebook page called Are We Dating the Same Guy St. Louis?
Kind of weird.
With more than 50,000 women from the region posting their dates, their boyfriends, even their husbands to see if someone else is dating them or has dirt on them.
I hope I don't. I don't think I've never given anyone reason to post me, I don't think. I know I haven't. I have no reason that I'd be on that.
St. Louis's page isn't the first, but has been exploding with members in the last 6 months. It all started in New York last year, and now similar sites have popped up all over the country and the world. Women post men they know or plan to date. We're blurring them since we haven't independently verified the posted information. Commenters can then spill the tea or share red flags, often to find out if the person's telling the truth. Upwards of 25% of users on the dating app Tinder, for example, are already in committed relationships. Each group has specific rules, first of which, don't share the post. No last names or personal information. It's about protecting women, they say, not judging men.
If someone's being dishonest about something a little more surface level, what else are they being dishonest about? Come on.
City resident Maggie is a member of the group.
Swipe left.
On a recent walk with her dog Regis, she scrolled to see if any upcoming dates might appear there.
I really appreciate them just because I view them as a positive from like a safety standpoint.
Group members and moderators argue the sites could serve a real public service, with the World Health Organization estimating 1 in 3 women will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. The groups could serve as a significant warning.
They could be an unsafe person, and I kind of see it as like empowering almost. Makes me feel a deeper connection with other people who are in similar circumstances dating like I am.
You're able to research the people you're going on dates with more efficiently. You're able to vet them. You're able to figure out if this is a safe scenario to be in more easily, which reduces the burden of labor of online dating.
Alexandra Freeman with MissouriMatchmaker.com says the social media sites can have value, but they've got significant downsides too.
Where there is light, there's always shadow, right? And in the end, you don't know who is saying what about these people on these sites. You have no way of knowing if these people are being deceptive.
Legally, there are potential issues for both the women posting and also the men who are posted about.
Michael Pelagali is an attorney whose firm is now specializing in these types of sites.
There are times when these groups can be used inappropriately to either defame someone or cause unnecessary harm. And we've been contacted by individuals posted in these groups who have lost partners, romantic partners, because of this. They've been questioned by their employer.
And the groups, often meant to be private, do often get back to the people posted about. So often that being posted on one of the groups even became a Halloween costume.
The groups in and of themselves are completely legal within the bounds of the law and the First Amendment. It is when someone who posts in that group commits defamation. That is when the line is crossed.
To stay out of trouble,
keep your posts truthful and accurate, and yes, proceed with caution, knowing that those groups do not outright protect a woman posting.
Sometimes seeing the worst,
yes, me and Regis,
makes Maggie think of just sticking it out with Regis instead.
Sometimes it can feel like that, especially seeing those groups, but I'm trying to stay hopeful.
So she keeps swiping.
You know, I'm still out there. I'm still looking.
You know, it's sad that it has to exist, but I kind of get it.
Meanwhile, Joe says he's making it a goal never to be posted on Are We Dating the Same Guy?
I would point that to the man and be like, you got to change some behaviors, dude.
Instead, he likes the other Facebook page we showed him, Vouched Dating.
That's very cute.
Where women post men they'd actually recommend.
That's cool. I like that.
Perhaps being posted there would land him the love of his life. And there have been some real success stories on both of the sites. One of the positives people told me is that it can really be a place of community. However, the lawyers we spoke to say defamation most often occurs not on the original post, but in that comment section. We reached out to Meta and the moderators of the pages, but we haven't heard back. In St. Louis, I'm Lauren Traeger.
Still ahead, from chest compressions to ceremony procession.
I pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss your bride.
how CPR cemented a bond between this groom and his officiant.
Plus, a new kind of tourism has business owners seeing lots of green.
A lot of people come to us just because they're starting up their own businesses throughout the United States. So they come to get ideas and contacts.
How the cannabis industry is opening new doors for entrepreneurs.
More Americans are choosing to light up. According to cannabis researcher BDSA, the marijuana industry is expected to reach record highs, with forecasted recreational sales to reach $45 billion by 2027.
3 years ago, I was a lawyer. I was doing civil litigation and wasn't involved in the cannabis industry. That was the furthest thing from my mind.
With demand and an idea, this Illinois Cannabis Cafe was born.
People really love the fact that they come in and get a delicious latte, a delicious cappuccino, have that infused with their CBD, CBG, Delta 8 THC, really whatever cannabinoid they want.
With business booming, another industry looking to cash in on cannabis, nightlife and entertainment.
And what better place than Las Vegas? Reporter Kim Passoff takes us there for a cannabis tour.
We start your tour in a grow house. This is Greenleaf Mart of Las Vegas. Protective suits are required to walk through row after row of marijuana plants that one day soon will be ready for consumption. They started growing here from just seeds. Beautiful. Maxine Fensom will lead your tour.
It's been a ride for sure.
Her idea of cannabis tours in Las Vegas blossomed during the pandemic, when most things were closed down.
I had a couple of friends from the East Coast who wanted a tour. They were doing a thesis on cannabis tourism. And I said, look, let me take you around. I mean, I know enough to get through. And so I took them, and then I just decided, well, I think I just might do this. And people started calling me. I just decided to make it into a business.
Since then, Las Vegas Cannabis Tours has taken thousands of guests, people from all around the world, to cannabis businesses, including dispensaries, local grow houses, even glass blowers. These tours aim to demystify the legalized cannabis industry and showcase all it has to offer as it continues to evolve.
A lot of people come to us just because they're starting up their own businesses throughout the United States. So they come to get ideas and contacts.
Fensom says there is one big drawback right now. Guests cannot sample cannabis products while on the tour. But as cannabis lounges are slated to open across the state, that's about to change.
It will definitely enhance my business. I'll be able to offer way more tours that'll be much more flexible.
Offering a place to grow your love, the same company also offers cannabis weddings with themed food, decor, and of course, flowers.
Still ahead on Investigate TV Plus.
It's a bond that will be there for the rest of my life.
And he's not just talking about his bride, the special start to this friendship and its role in one couple's happily ever after.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. CPR is a skill that could save lives. As we mentioned at the start of this episode, according to the American Heart Association, most cardiac arrests happen outside of the hospital, but fewer than half of bystanders perform CPR. Our next story is another example of how this simple yet critical skill is a valuable one to learn.
Reporter Michaela Marshall shows us how one man's quick thinking helped to put the heart in a heartfelt wedding.
For better,
For better,
for worse,
for worse,
in health and in sickness,
Mark and Michelle Child say their wedding is a miracle.
I pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss your bride.
Made possible by Mark's hero, their officiant.
the person that saved my life to be the person that's going to wed us is just beyond words.
In August 2017, Mark had what's known as a widowmaker heart attack at age 50. He didn't feel well at work and was encouraged to go to urgent care. Mark made it about 2 miles, pulled into an O'Reilly Auto Parts store and collapsed.
And there was no pulse at all.
John Fitzpatrick just happened to be there. At the time, he was a total stranger. He rushed to Mark and performed CPR.
Had John not been there, I wouldn't be standing here today.
First responders arrived on scene and took him to the hospital. Mark had surgery, was in a coma for days, and suffered third-degree burns from passing out on the hot pavement. His recovery took more than 6 months, and his then-girlfriend, Michelle, was by his side every step of the way.
I love him. I wouldn't change a thing.
John left his number at the auto parts store, hopeful to hear how Mark was doing. They all connected and met months later in an emotional reunion.
It's a bond that will be there for the rest of my life.
A simple backyard ceremony at their home, surrounded by close friends and family, celebrated their love and how much they've overcome.
It's very overwhelming.
And they say having John be at the heart of it all was the perfect way to honor their remarkable friendship.
It's a real special privilege.
I love him so much, and I love Michelle so much.
I often think about being in the right place at the right time. That is right place, right time. That story right there.
Yeah, and they're all going to be lifetime friends after
No doubt
this.
about that bond
Yeah.
there.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
Next time on Investigate TV Plus, people calling 911.
Okay, hold on. What's going on?
My husband, I think he's dead on the floor.
Just to be left on hold.
I was like, I can't believe they just put me on hold.
What our investigation reveals about wait times and the devastating cost for families and entire communities.